It's week 34. We're on day 5. Yesterday, we saw a conversation between God and Jeremiah's secretary, Baruch, that basically said things aren't going to get better. In fact, things are going to get worse before they get better. And it was a call for faithfulness despite circumstances. It also ended with prophecies against the nations that surrounded Judah before the exile. Well, now we see a continuation of those prophecies against other nations. And I'd mentioned the three yesterday: Egypt, Philistia, and Moab. Now, Egypt, we know, that's the land where people were in slavery before the Exodus. Philistia, that's the land of the Philistines, which were big opponents and constant problem, especially during the early United Kingdom period, Saul and David in particular. Moab, though, may be one that we're not 100% sure of. Well, Moab and Ammon, who is one of those nations that are recorded about in today's reading, found in Jeremiah 49 through 50, Moab and Ammon were descendants of Moab and Ammon, who were the not illegitimate sons, the incestuous sons of Lot, Abraham's nephew. You may remember the story. Lot lived in Sodom and Gomorrah. The angel of God came down to destroy the cities. Abraham said, if you find 15 people or however many people, will you spare them? And yes, we'll spare them. They go and they find not enough, but they do rescue Lot and his wife and his 2 daughters. And they leave. The wife turns back, she turns into salt, but Lot and his 2 daughters escape into the mountains. The daughters, concerned that they will never have children, on successive nights get their father drunk and get pregnant by him. Their children are Moab and Ammon. And so the nations here that are being called out, the Moabites and the Ammonites, are those descendants. Additionally, Edom. We talked about Esau a couple of days ago, and when in Obadiah they are called in judgment for not standing up for Jerusalem. Well, here they also get called out as the judgment that will be held against them and the reasons for their downfall. And then there are 2 nomadic tribes by the name of Kedar and Hazor that are also mentioned, that were located in the general geographic area surrounding Israel during this time. What does this tell us that we can take into today's lessons? Well, it tells us that God is behind everything that happens in the world. God is behind the worldwide events that we're watching on TV or experiencing for ourselves. It doesn't mean that God brings about the bad things, no. But God sometimes allows us to suffer the consequences of sin and strife so that we might learn how to get along, how we need to behave, and how we need to have faith in the one true God. When you look at the headlines and they hurt your heart and you wonder why God allows it, think about what it is that we may be doing as individuals and as nations that are calling judgment upon us in these times. We are not immune from the circumstances of our own behaviors. And so maybe we need to rethink our behavior and learn to focus and follow God in faithfulness now and always.